I'm going to start this off with a yawn because that would be really funny to me.
Yeah, it's meta.
Appropriate?
Appropriate.
I'm trying to actually get a yawn to work.
Maybe just rewatch the episode.
We can edit. Wait, can we just ask we're still yawning. We can just ask Becker to like edit them, or we can just edit all of our yawns, and that's our intro.
Or we could just ask Bex to yawn.
Well,
Yeah.
well, wait. Beck's computer is dead,
Alright.
so I'm editing this episode. And also, I already
ask
yawned,
Moss.
but no one heard it, so I guess I didn't actually yawn.
It sounded too natural, not over the top. You gotta do the like, ugh. Like, you're half dying and yawning.
Well, I can't fucking do it now. But in any case, hi. Welcome to Violet Everweekly, a series on the Our Anime podcast where we discuss Violet Evergarden each week as it airs. This is episode 3. First 2 episodes are available somewhere, probably the description or a playlist or wherever.
On Netflix.
On Netflix. No, it's not. I'm in America, so... yeah. I'm really tired. But some people know me as Mozilla Fennekin, and joining me for this week is Shaw.
You can just call me Yawn King for this week, because that's how I'm feeling. But hi, guys.
And, and Kaverick is back this week.
Yeah, hello. It's third episode and we're already tired.
Mm-hmm.
Feels good.
And
Feels good, fam.
Our special guest for this episode is none other than Dr. Whoops.
Yay. Hi.
Hey. Also, I completely forgot to mention that we are still taking in guest applications, so if you want to be on a later episode of the podcast, there's a link in the description that will give you what you need. But Lux, you said last week that you wouldn't have 2 guests each week. Yeah, I did say that. My sincerest condolences. My body decided to not function properly for a few days, so I didn't schedule things. Like the complete and utter disaster on my part. And also, but Dr. Whoops is on every episode. Yeah, that's also because I didn't schedule properly, so I don't got anything.
I'll just pretend to be 2 different people, so that it's like you have 2 guests.
He's like, I was going to think of some other profession, but I'm too tired to think about that. Also, I don't actually sound tired or bored because this episode was bad or anything. I'm just tired in general. So, in any case, let's get on with...
Relatable.
Let's get on with the discussion. Violet Evergarden, episode 3. We finally get an OP and an ED. Can you fucking believe it?
Yay.
Yeah, apparently we got an OP. Like, I guess we could call it that. Ugh.
You seem to have some...
I mean,
you seem to have...
It was a song. That's the best I can say for it.
It was a 90-second sequence of music and animation that played around the beginning of the episode.
Thank God Netflix has the skip option, because I won't have to go back and rewind this shit. Like, what a bad opening. I'm not chill. I'm not even chill about it with, like, oh, I guess it's an okay opening. This is just a bad opening. This shit just sucks. I was, like, very much looking forward to it because, I saw, like, they had that, you know the cool preview they released, like, 2 years ago or whatever? Mm-hmm. Where, you know, it's, like, cool symbolism of, like, letters and everything flying and shit. I'm like, oh, cool, they could just use this for the opening or something. Or they'll do something similar. And instead we just get this, and it's just, like, shots of, like, nature and the town, and, like, fire and suffering at some point. And just, like, Violet looking. She's not even sad. She's just, like, her Violet face of, like, not caring, looking around. And, like, the song is okay, I guess, but it's not that good. So, yeah, that just sucked. I hate this opening.
Kind of fits the 3rd episode.
It is the 3rd episode.
It is the 3rd episode, yes.
Yeah, but it fits the episode because the episode wasn't very interesting as well, in my opinion.
I see. I get it now. That's a funny comment.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
The song was okay.
So the episode was okay. But, yeah, I mean, like, I actually think, I mean, I like the episode more than the opening, but that's not saying much. But, I mean, I do think it was, like, a decent episode. But I'm like, this is probably the first, like, actively negative thing I've had to say about the series, besides my Pirate Wench conversations over the weeks. But, like, you know, I mean, I, like, actively dislike this opening. Like, if someone asks me, like, what's the worst opening you've seen of the season, I'm saying Violet Evergarden. And I'm saying that because...
I'm saying Maho Yome.
Wait, I was gonna say...
Yes.
I was just gonna say, like, and that's only because I haven't gotten to the second core of Mahoyomi. That's the only reason it's the worst one I've seen. Because it's actually the worst one I've seen. But then I'll see that one, and that'll take the spot of it. That'll take the spot of worst OP. But until then, I can pretend this is the worst one of the season.
I don't know. I thought it was just an okay opening. I mean, I it's a very boring and slow opening. The song was okay. Visuals were plain, not interesting. If it sounds like I'm making a bunch of really generic statements that are easy to counter, that's because I only watched the OP once and it was like 3 days ago, and also I'm tired.
And because it's a generic opening. Like, generic phrases fit it because it's generic.
Hey.
I would describe the opening with one word. You know, it would be unimpressive. It's kind of there. I don't want to really watch it. I don't really want to skip it. It exists. It just kind of exists, and that's about it. I don't know why it's so bland. I don't know. There's nothing interesting about it. Like, we can see why it in the field, then we can see why it's screaming suffering and the like war situation. Then we see her changing with the robotic hand and nature once again. Well, that's about it. Well, I don't know.
I think what it gets me is, like, I think the problem, which is why I'm, like, so salty, is because I don't have a problem with, like, still imagery, but there's just, like, no narrative going on with this opening. Like, most of the time, like, openings kind of try and, like, give you a sense of the show or, like, tell a narrative of some sorts, even for, like, not very narrative-heavy shows or slice of lives. Like, you get a sense of them. But this opening just doesn't say anything. It has no personality, and it doesn't tell us anything about the show or the direction it's heading in. And that's my main problem.
Like the first episode had this really cool shot, or the second episode, where you saw like a time lapse of the city, where you saw it like turn night to day and the shadows change as the sun moves. Like stuff like that should be in the OP, or at least something like that. Like, that's a cool shot. You put that in the OP, not some generic shot of Violet standing around in a green field or with no background.
She hasn't even been to a field. Yeah, like we haven't even seen her in a field.
Yeah, I'm watching the OP right now. There's just like a bunch of really like slow movement on Violet and other things like a typewriter and the brooch, and now it's like I'm past the minute mark and it's just pictures of sunsets. Like, that's all it is. And like the first 14 seconds of the OP, a whole 14 seconds was just a black screen with the Violet Evergarden in the anime's made-up language appearing really, really slowly. So again, really slow OP.
Yep.
And just like reuse the footage that you guys used in the preview. It's 30 seconds long. Like, you're like a third of the way there. Just do that. It's so much more interesting.
Just take that and loop it.
Like, literally, Yuri on Ice it. Like, just loop that for like 3 times. And you get a better opening.
Then you got a 90-second OP. There you go.
Yeah. There you go. But, so...
Yeah. What about AD?
I like the ending more, but, I like it. It's good, I guess. It's decent.
Yeah, there's just so many ED that are just the main character walking sideways across the screen. But not actually moving. That's like 90% of all ED, and it's in that category. It's one of the better ones, but I don't think it's really anything noteworthy or to be remembering by the end of the year.
I do remember it because I like her boots a lot. Like, I'm a very big boot, and I love her boots, and I'm a huge boot enthusiast. So that's why I like it.
I totally misheard that, by the way.
What? Wait, I missed it. What'd you say? That sounded funny.
He said he missed her. He misheard that.
No. I'm going to sleep. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we don't even see her boobs, so maybe that would improve the OP too while we're at it. I mean, the
Probably.
ending.
Probably.
Are you a huge boot enthusiast or an enthusiast for huge boots?
Well, why not both?
Yes. That's
Yeah.
the answer.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I very much agree with Whoops about the ED. It's just a standard ED of a character walking. I do think it was it was a pretty ED. And it's a slow song. It's not an ED that I would like, I don't know, begrudge. I probably wouldn't skip it because I don't want to hear it or anything, like a lot of EDs, but I mean, yeah, it's probably not going to be like my favorite ED of the year.
I think it's tough for EDs to stand out in general, but I mean, like, props to them for trying on the ED, but it's just, like, it's not going to really stand out in the grand scheme of things, but it's pretty decent and, like, inoffensive.
Yeah. It was better than the OP.
Yeah, definitely. That's like a KyoAni thing, I think, is they make good EDs.
Yeah. KyoAni does make good EDs most of the time.
Yeah.
Any comments about the OP or ED? Beyond that?
Not really, no.
I guess not. Alright, so the actual episode, the real meat of the episode, is Violet goes to school. Isn't that exciting? Wasn't that 5-second silence really symbolic of how exciting that is? But I actually thought it was kind of cool. I thought this episode was... This episode actually might be the best one of the 3 so far. I guess maybe because it had like a clear direction and an end to it. And we saw a lot of progress to Violet's character.
Yeah,
I'm done, by the way.
I think it's probably the best so far.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's all very close because none of them really stand out in a bad or a good way for me. It's all like pretty good but not great. But what's my biggest problem with this episode is just that it's another episode that's focusing on another character that we probably won't see more of, or at least not more of in a significant way. And it just kind of feels shoehorned in, the old brother thing. Just kind of for Violet to have something to write about, and I don't think it really matters what that would have been. It's just we're going to have some kind of side character story, and Violet is going to write about it, and that's going to be the plot of the episode. But it doesn't really feel like they put any effort in the character story itself.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think it was cool that they like chose this subject, like the brother character who is going to be written about, to be someone who Violet could relate to. But I kind of wish that they had something where, Violet is a veteran, he's a veteran, like, they have a very, like, common experience that others don't have. And I kind of wish they had something in the episode where we got, like, a little something extra from Violet that other characters might not have really got, like, had the same experience saying. Like, she did the letter, but I wish she could have added something to that we could have said, wow, that, like, that's a real Violet thing because she went through the same experience as him. But instead, she just kind of did, like, a capable job. I don't know. I feel like I'm describing it poorly, but I just kind of wish we had something unique from Violet that really could have connected with the brother on a, like, military way that we wouldn't have gotten from the other characters.
Yeah, the letter she wrote didn't really feel like it had any of her personality or lack thereof.
Because she has no personality.
Yeah, but even then, it didn't really even feel like a letter from a character like her. It just felt like a letter anyone could write. It didn't feel like it showed any of her development very well, or it showed any of her personality very well. It just felt like, yeah, okay, she wrote a fine letter.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been cool if, like, she could have said something to him when she handed it in a very, like, how she acts as if, like, everything she's doing is, like, a mission? She could have said, like, you completed your mission, like, now you get to live on or something. Like, that sounds, like, really lame, but, she could have said something in a military-like way that would have resonated with the guy and would have shown us that, like, she's making an attempt to reach out to people, even if it's just in her way.
Were you going to say something, Cav?
Oh yeah, I was saying like in the first episode that I would be more interested in these little side stories that the anime would offer, like how they would explore the world, Violet herself, and something like that. So far the anime is somewhat delivering on that, I would say. Um, so I don't know. It's just the execution is not here, I would say. Um,
Mhm.
Basically, the story itself is fine, but it's told in the most boring way possible. Like we have this story of this girl, her brother, and then Violet tries to help. Once again, writes the most tried thing possible. I'm glad you're alive. It's so boring. It's like on the same
Mhm.
level as I don't know what love means. They're using
Yeah.
the most boring, mundane words possible. It, as you have said, it lacks personality. Really, that's the issue.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it doesn't feel like it's Violet's letter. And I mean, I get that she doesn't understand feelings and stuff, but I think it could be still more creative and odd, like has some kind of quirk of Violet. So let's say in the letter she writes something like, oh, well, I rewrote it as, I'm happy I can get you out of the scuffles every day, or along those lines.
Yeah.
And brother reacts like, what the hell is this? Like, bakabakashi, nani sore. Then yeah, yeah, then realization strikes and he comes to terms with the situation. Like, it's not overly dramatic like it is in the anime when he cries and then there is this ham-fisted theme, I'm glad you're alive, and because a simple I'm happy would be enough to convey the development of Violet. There is no need for that you're alive. It's just so I don't know. It just feels like a very lazy rating to me.
Yeah, it really wants to have these individual episodic stories, but one episode doesn't really feel like enough time for them to properly explore it. So it just ends up being shallow, and then near the end they want to shove in some emotion into the one episode arc, so they make like a big scene where everyone's crying and the music is dramatic and loud, and it just feels so forced. Just like if you just took more time to build it up, and then a more subdued ending could work as well. But it just feels like it's rushing through these side stories.
It's not even rushing through. It's just I feel like the anime is really a victim of its slow pace. So while it's being deliberately slow, it just doesn't have time to really establish the side characters. So they're really just surface of them. I don't know.
And
It's like that.
and it's what I also find weird is they want to focus on side characters, but then they go through ones, yeah, the least interesting ones to me, because both the schoolgirl and the girl with the glasses from last episode both didn't feel like the most interesting characters to explore. When you have uh, Catelia and Benedict, the blonde guy, and
Yeah.
the woman with the tits. Um,
We have a
I
name
find
for her, and it is Pirate Wench. Thank you.
pirate.
That is her
I
official
find
name as of this podcast.
Pirate
I
Wench.
find I forgot. I find them more interesting as characters because they have personality, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
I just want to
I'll
see
just
more
say
of
what
them, so I
everyone's
do hope that
thinking.
they
The
get
blonde
around to
dude and
that.
Pirate Wench are obviously fucking. Like, we know they're having sex. That, we now know.
Yeah.
We know that based on this episode because they were fighting. And that's as close as we're gonna get to confirming that because they were bickering and she was trying to make him jealous.
Dude, like episode 2, she said something along the lines of like, I couldn't say a woman's name in bed when she was like making fun of his name being Cloud, whatever.
Claudia, yeah.
Claudia. Yes, that's what I meant. I know things. Anyway, whoops. Continue.
Yeah, I think I was about done with what
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they will be in focus later on.
um, a couple of responses I have to all that is that, number one, in regards to like how the story is being told in kind of boring ways and also episodically, like I do very much agree with Whoops and how it feels like scratch what I just said, but I do kind of dislike how they kind of develop one character and in a kind of complete way, and what I dislike is how it might not. I mean, it's too early to say this for sure, but like last episode we got Erica, who's the glasses girl, and in this episode, like she was there, but she was just in the background. I don't even think she said anything in this episode. And if that happens for all the characters, like if that happens to Lucilia or what's her name from this episode, if she just doesn't show up again, then I'll be like, yeah, that is kind of underwhelming that they have all these characters and then they just have their one episode and that's about it. Forgot what else I was going to say for now.
It just feels like a waste because I've seen plenty of episodic shows by this moment, and there is so much thing you can do in like 22 minutes, show so much stuff, but Violet Evergarden just shows so little. It's kind of disappointing.
And that also kind of raises the question what it's going to do from here on out, because I don't think it's going to keep up if it keeps doing this episodic stuff. I don't think it will, because obviously there's stuff with the mayor and Violet herself, but I'm just wondering when and how it will switch to that. Because it's... I mean, what we want to know is, like, what's Violet getting out of all of this, and if it keeps being this slow, then that might lose them a lot of interest, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely losing a lot of momentum if it keeps doing what it's doing. Because as Moz said, it's like we spent all of last episode on Erica's development, and we didn't really get to see any payoff of it in this episode. So we don't want to continue a pattern of like developing characters and not seeing the payoff for their development, while not really feeling like Violet is developing that much either. So, you know, they gotta get good.
Yeah, and I wonder if the show is self-aware itself, because in the third episode in a row, Violet says her infamous catchphrase.
Oh yeah, she
I
does.
love the
She
disdain.
did.
I love the
Which is-
disdain over it. Her catchphrase. I want to know what love is.
Yeah.
What's also weird about this is, like, the show, if they keep pushing that question, then they should eventually give an answer for it, but like, how are they going to do that? Is just someone going to tell her? Is she going to find out? And what will the answer even be?
Just tell her what love is. Come on, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
And
Just
also tell her
man.
that the major is fucking dead.
Because remember, in a show kind of about writing in a way, even though it's more about developing, etc. But you'd think they'd have some kind of poetic response to what does love mean that they're going to use in the final episode. So I'm just wondering what that's going to be, because with the way it's being built up, I just feel like it can only disappoint what the explanation for it is.
Yeah, we'll see how it is. The whole anime is about how it's hard to convey the feelings, and how it's hard to be honest to yourself. That's what I got from the third episode, at least. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. My prediction would be that Violet would kind of get what love is, like in the middle of the series. Then she would learn a bit later that Major is dead. And the final episodes, she would kind of come to terms with that. Something.
I think she'll
I-
find out the
I don't
major
think-
is dead and then find out what love is.
Or maybe I
in
don't
a-
know.
I don't think the major is dead. It just seems like the type of show that would make it so obvious that he's dead and then bring him back just to surprise the audience.
Oh
I
god,
think it's
people give
it's the
so
type of show
much
to do that.
shit for that if it happens.
I know it.
I would think
I
that's
think
kind
it's
of
gonna
funny.
do it genuinely.
I would say that's kind of funny.
It wouldn't surprise me.
It would be funny,
Sorry if I cut
but
you off.
Like it's
I don't
just
know.
so forcing it.
Yeah, we were saying before, how it's so obvious that it cannot be truth, basically.
Yeah.
So like,
I feel like they're trying to fake us out.
yeah, he might show up like every second, like around the corner. Hey, Violet,
Yeah.
I was here alone.
You thought
He's in
I
the
was
background
dead.
of everything. He's in the background of every scene.
Can we have
You just
someone
can't
like
see.
analyze it? Like go through and analyze about like the details and how he was in the like street corner for like every shot? They'll like bamboozle us.
You know that
Well,
one guy who like made a compilation of all of the male characters in K-On?
Yeah.
We need
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy for this.
That guy needs to come back. We need your help.
just suddenly, in episode 8, Ketelja takes off a wig and pats her bra. It's me, the mayor.
That would be actually really awesome.
We need to expose him.
There was one more complaint about the logic, I guess, about how one simple letter with basically 2 sentences got widely graduated with honors and stuff.
Yeah, that seemed
was
a bit
sus.
convenient.
That was very sus.
It was sus, I guess, but I also
Yeah,
agree that the episode was running out of time, so they kind of had to finish off this episode
I
on a
bet
high note.
Violet bribed her or took her
Oh,
family
yeah,
hostage
maybe.
or something.
I wish they
That
would do
works.
something like we support our troops, so we're gonna pass her because we support veterans. Like if they did something cute like that too, that would make sense. But like, no, it's just like Violet, you wrote, "I'm glad you're alive." Good job. Good job.
That's
GG.
what I wanted them to do. If there's any twist they can do to make this show awesome, it's just that halfway through we just find out that Violet is actually just a complete sociopath, and she's like keeping people hostage and stuff like that.
Yandere.
Just going
I see how it is.
Yeah, she's just like
What if there was
actually
no
genuinely brainwashed and psycho. She killed the major. she held the family. She held the family hostage of the teacher. She just completely met that.
Listen, we got some
that-
school life shit going on. I'm down.
Damn.
I'm down. I'm down
Why,
for this.
why we're not writing the anime's like scripts?
Yeah, we should be writing this.
Whoops, I think your feelings are coming across to them. You could-
Here.
Doesn't need to write it down. Your feelings are coming across perfectly.
Yeah. Just halfway through the show, someone is like, "No, she's genuinely crazy. Like, don't hang out with her."
I'm
That
down.
would be
I'm
cool.
down for this. I'm down for this turn. I like just random yandere shit. Make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not?
Can save any show.
I do have mixed feelings about that ending, about how Violet graduates in the end. I don't know. It does seem it is some pretty flawed logic that like one letter would allow her to graduate. I don't know, but at the same time, I guess like it's I don't know. The school's kind of weird because the profession is kind of weird because it's about conveying emotions and all that. How exactly do you teach that though? Like we saw, like we had this whole classroom montage thing, and it's like it seems that the class is mostly for like typing. Like it's basically just an English class, and quote unquote English, of course. But it's like it just teaches you like, okay, you need to have perfect grammar, you need to have perfect spelling, you need to have a rich vocabulary, and you need to have really good typing. That's basically what the school says. It never exactly said like this is how you convey this emotion in words or something. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I would have liked to see more of just Violet in the school and her not getting it and her failing to do it, because that really do more to drive the point home of her actually practicing and failing. Because now it just feels like she made one bad letter and then one good one and she passed. It didn't feel like there was much build up to her actually pulling it off.
And I feel like this whole episode could have been a good opportunity to show Violet getting frustrated. Like, if she's ever gonna show an emotion, I think the most, like, natural given this situation is frustration. Like, one day she's top of the class with, like, the best record, like the best grades, and the next day she's failing because she doesn't understand people. Like, wouldn't it be natural to kind of show her frustration over this, or like some inkling of frustration instead of like, oh look, I done goofed again because I don't get people. Oh well. You know, it feels kind of unnatural, even given her emotionless state.
Yeah. She's just that robotic, I guess. I don't know. She cannot feel frustration at all.
And we changed the show to I want to know what I love you means. Instead, we change it to I want to know what oh fuck I messed up means.
I want to know what oops means.
It's a
I want to know what whoops means.
But about
what does it mean to be whoops?
Yep.
That's a good question.
There are many animes which kind of relating to feelings. Like I've seen the anime called Princess Tutu, and the whole first arc is focusing on returning the feelings to one person, and every episode is focusing on one single emotion, and it works pretty well. Uh, but here it just kind of here and there, like this love, and you don't see the development, like you don't see the progress in Violet characters really. Like she kind of wants to see love, but she doesn't make progress really. I don't know.
What this reminds me of is like we were talking about like how Violet comes across as boring because she is boring. But this always reminds me of Shikia from Katana Gatari, where he's like a canonly boring person who never had feelings because he was always treated like a legitimate sword, kind of in a similar way to Violet, who was always treated as a military tool. But they managed to make Shikia like a very interesting character, even though he's supposed to be boring. Shichika? What's the H doing? Wow, that's another.
Shishika, yeah.
Shishika. Wow, there's one for me. Okay. So, yeah, so, I mean, we get, like, that's a way of making a character, boring, but interesting boring. You can be canonly boring without being unengaging, if that makes sense. And I think that's the problem, is they don't know how to make her boring, but interesting.
Yeah, she kind of lacks charisma at that state of things, I guess. I don't know. I just hope the things will develop in like a couple of episodes, because if nothing changes at like episode 5, 6, people will just drop the show completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely needs to do something to shake it up or actually get a narrative start, because right now it just feels like it's kind of meandering along and not really progressing in any way. Well, yeah. A little bit, I guess. It's slowly uncovering more about Violet and maybe getting her closer to understanding something about emotion, but it's not really. It can't do this for much more episodes. Maybe 1 or 2, I guess.
Sorry for being really quiet. I was writing out a question for Kevin Penkin of the AMA on our anime right now, because that's happening.
Not fair. I was trying to write one. I was trying to write one up. That's not fair.
Just go write one right now, because I'll make a point. The one thing I do like about this episode, so that we're not completely trashing this episode for the podcast, I did like one thing about the ending in particular, and it's that Violet does actually write a letter that is good. And the point is that, sometimes you only need a few words to convey this specific thing. And, sure, you guys also complained that you could still rewrite the letter to be, even simpler. But even still, I thought the point was pretty cool. It didn't have to be so formal and, extensive. It was just a few simple words, just thank you for all you do. And that worked. I did legitimately enjoy that thing.
I do too. I appreciate the idea. I just wish it was executed a bit better. But I do think they can execute it better in the future if they kind of make it like Violet's staple is to have simple but effective ways to communicate with people and convey feelings.
And by the way, about anime that are about conveying feelings or something, and also characters that can't convey feelings too well. One very good example of a show that does this pretty well is Fune wo Amu.
Oh yeah, I've
yeah.
been rewatching.
Because
That show is
like
Yeah.
at least the first few episodes is about a character who's very who just loves words and loves dictionaries, and he falls in love with the girl but can't convey the right words, and that's about that thing going on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Man, that show is
I
so
wanted
good.
to-
Watch that.
yeah, wanted to mention that. Does anyone else have any other points to make?
Not really.
Yeah, 'cause I'm-
Well, I guess I could say that even if I am being critical about the anime, I'm still watching it. It's still an enjoyable watch.
Mhm.
It's just I'm critical. That's about it. It's not like I hate the show completely. Yes,
It's still one of my favorite like non-sequels of the season.
I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites, but it's a serviceable watch. It's
That's
good
more
enough.
of me. That's more of me not liking that many shows than me like loving it. But I still think I look forward to watching it, which is more than I can say for other shows.
yeah,
Yeah, it's still like above average for the season at least. Not that says much because seasonal anime is on average not that good.
yeah. I would say that like all the complaints we had, like I mean, I think they're fair, but also it's like it's not like we're gonna judge the whole anime right now. It's just that I would say that a lot of these things are fixable with the anime. That maybe this was just one of the weaker episodes of the anime overall, and maybe down the road it will become pretty great. It's just I don't know. There were some we did have some gripes, but it's still not a bad show at all. It's still like a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in this show. I believe it can do well.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Me too.
Well, I guess that concludes the episode. Thank you, Shah, Cav, whoops, for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks for
for
Let's
joining
hope that maybe in the next week we'll learn what love means.
I want to
Maybe.
learn what love means. Hopefully
Yeah.
I will. Hopefully we will learn.
Yeah, we will learn.
Isn't
One day we
being
will
what-
learn.
Isn't being on this podcast what love means?
Oh, there it is. There it
Yep.
is.
Okay.
Aw.
Now we need
Oops,
to contact
found the
Violet and
answer.
say it. Alright.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Tune in next week for another riveting discussion.
Hopefully.
See ya.
Adios.
Bye.
Abayo.